you've just qualified as referees. How did you find the referees course?
Nerve-wracking at the start, but after the second day I feel like everything just went out my head. I was much more confident in refereeing because when I first started I just thought I knew everything about football, I knew the rules, but the moment I finished that course I was like, actually there's so much behind football than actually we think we know.
I played football for 7 years and thought I knew absolutely everything, every rule in the book, and then got there after the second day. It was like, wow, my knowledge has expanded so much. Like, there's so much more to learn than you already know. And like coming here today as well, this has helped a lot. Like seeing what you do in a day, let's say on a Saturday, what you do before you go to a match, how long you warm up, what you eat, and different things like that. It's helped so much.
What actually inspired you to do the referees course?
To be honest, it's like a little bit of money on the side, like pocket money throughout the week. My own money, it gives you a little bit of independence as well.
I feel like with me, I was a ball assistant with Manchester United, so I just got referred to do refereeing because I'm doing my best to just get all my work experience. So it's good.
How were your first couple games as a referee?
So I remember my first game, I actually did my first game before I was qualified as a referee. My dad had snuck me onto his league, running the line, so I do remember that. But then when I was qualified as well, I remember my first game then as well. It's nerve-wracking, but I think that you've got to start somewhere. So where I'm from, Accrington area, you used to do the Accrington Junior League, which means that you would go into like the soccer dome and you would do the under fives and the under sixes and the under sevens, and you would build your confidence then. And a lot of that weren't even managing on the field, it was managing the parents and learning how to speak to the teams and speak to the managers and things like that. And then I think that if you can develop them into personal skills from a young age at like 14, 15, when you've just passed the course, it sets you up in such good stead for in the future, really, because you're having to deal with parents and coaches and little players who are like upset and things like that from such a young age, that it gives you the experience and the confidence to be able to do it when you develop through the age groups.
Yeah, I think it's just completely different to playing football, isn't it? Like, I don't think anything can prepare you completely for going and refereeing a game in comparison to playing a game of football. Complete different skill set, but as Abby said, like those interpersonal skills that you learn and develop, and the more games you do, the more you develop then, and become much more comfortable and confident in that. It's like the biggest piece of advice would be just to get as much experience, as many games as you can under your belt. I just used to do 3 or 4 games every Sunday, back to back. Good little pocket money earner. But also it gave me that experience to just keep on building and learning, and just developing like as a young referee. So really, really useful.
Nice.
Do you have any advice to new female referees like us?
Yeah, I think take every opportunity to gain as much experience as possible, and just don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, mistakes are completely normal and okay, and the more mistakes you make, the more you learn and grow, and the better referee you'll become.
No success without failure.
Absolutely.
And mine is be open to criticism. Just be open to people who are wanting to help you develop. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes, like Mel said, and learning from them.
And enjoy it. Have fun.
Of course.
What's one thing you'd wish people would know about referees?
How hard we actually work in the background. It means that I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I then go to the gym in Simonstone, a gym called Change, and I do a HR session twice a week there. Then I'm home for about 7:30. I get the kids ready, I drop them off at school for 8:45, I go to work, and I come home at 5 o'clock, and then I've got the dog to sort, I've got the kids to sort, and then if it's a match day midweek, that also adds the added pressure. So I think that people just think that we turn up at 3 o'clock or whatever, 6:45 on a midweek, and it's not like that. And I think that if people realise how hard we actually do work in the background, that we have still got lives, we have still got families, and the sacrifices that we make, I think it's important for people to realise what we do in the background.
And is it harder mentally having to juggle things around all inside your head, because obviously you're a mother,
Yeah.
you're a referee. It's everything to do with just you. You've got to do that.
Yeah, so I actually had a conversation the other day with my coach, and realistically, my life is completely based around football. Whether we either game on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a Tuesday, or a Thursday, and I think that that's all around what I eat, how I train, what I train, and it does take over your life a little bit. Well, it might be perceived that way, but it just works, and it
slots into
it
place.
just slots into place. And I think that you've got to be really organised, which is another key aspect within being a referee, especially as you get older. I think when you're younger it's a little bit different, because my dad just used to take me to games, and it would just he did everything for me. He used to wash my boots, and when I got my own house I was like, I actually have to wash my own boots and my own kit.
Reality check.
Yeah. So I think that as you get older it's just finding a routine that works, and that all of a sudden refereeing, although it does just become your life, it slots into place.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most rewarding thing about reffing?
And what's your best highlight of your career so far?
For me, the best thing is we're pitch side, best seat in the house, and it's just the next best thing to playing. For me, that's kind of, the most rewarding thing about being a referee. Standout moment, highlight for me has got to be the Women's FA Cup final in 2019. Assistant referee at Wembley, my first time at Wembley. Walking out, like the goosebumps, the national anthems, everything. Having our family and friends there that support us throughout our career, see the sacrifices that we make, really, really special. Just to be able to share that moment with them, and say thank you as well to them for all of their support.
Big goal for you.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit cliche, but the best thing for me, rewarding wise, is the friendships that I've made and the places that I've seen with people that I do class as friends now. And that's probably one of the most rewarding things. And pinch me moment is probably the League Cup final in 2023.
What's your coping mechanism when you make a mistake? How do you deal with stuff with like hate comments or just make a mistake in general on pitch?
I think in terms of making mistakes, like we're only human, we can't get every decision right. In an ideal world, of course, we'd get 100% of decisions right, but that's not the reality. So I think everyone has complete different coping mechanisms for how they deal with making mistakes. For me, I just kind of use a little bit of self-talk to kind of move on, because the worst thing that can happen is if you potentially make a potential decision in a game that may be incorrect, you don't then want to go and make a further mistake. So for me, the most important thing is learning to park it there and then reflecting on it like later when it's kind of more appropriate to look at how things went wrong and where we can learn and develop and essentially not make those mistakes next time.
So you don't let your head go down right in that moment.
No.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, just the worst thing that could happen is you go and make further mistakes because you're still thinking about that decision that happened 5 minutes ago. It's just the worst thing that can happen. So the best thing is just finding a way that helps you to park that decision. That's the most important thing for in that moment in the game.
Yeah, I think I'm very much the same. I've got like quite a strong mental attitude where I can park things there and then. Then my coping mechanisms usually on the way home. I'll ring my dad, I'll talk it through with him, and then I'll ring my partner because he's just so blasé and he's usually like, what are you stressing about? So it does make things a little bit easier when you have that relief away from football and that your life isn't just consumed by it sometimes, and that's probably the best way for me to cope with things.